Hi, welcome to the Wakefield Board of Selectmen meeting for July 21st, 2014. I'd like to start by getting a motion to approve the minutes from our June 23rd meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Paul, second by Betsy. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Public participation, Steve? We have,
No one has signed in, Mr. Chairman.
okay. No public participation tonight, and there are no personnel and appointments, I see.
Nope, not tonight.
Okay, if it's okay, I think, do we need to wait to start our public hearing?
Yes.
Since
Yes.
it's scheduled at 7:45? Okay. All right, we'll jump over that. We can schedule a public hearing. There is a number of poll locations being sought, and they're in the agenda that has been posted, so I don't think I need to read through all of them. Most of them are on Lowell Street and North Ave, I think affecting Galvin, right,
Yes,
primarily?
the ones on North Ave are affecting the Galvin School, and the ones on Lowell Street are potential if the undergrounding project goes through.
Oh, right,
So just
right.
having it already.
Right, so we're looking to schedule that hearing on August 11th, 2014 at 7:40 PM. So at this point, I'd just like a motion to schedule the public hearing. We don't need to deal with it
Second.
substantively. Okay, so moved by Tiz, second by Paul. The hearing is scheduled for August 11th at 7:40 PM. Okay.
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor? Now what I said is true. I'm a little rusty. Okay, so then we'll move into licenses, permits, and approvals. We have a request from Mark Zong of Socorro Organic for a 30-day liquor license for Jazz on the Plaza at the Lucius Beebe Memorial Library on July 31st from 6 PM until 8 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moved by Paul, second by Betsy. License granted. We have a request from Denise McAllister for a peddler's license to sell jewelry on the Common.
Motion to deny.
Second.
Motion to deny by Pat Glynn, seconded by Betsy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion, the request is denied. We have a request from Ann Lucy from the Road Dog for a peddler's license for Brian Cameron of 2 Clover Circle.
Motion to
Wakefield.
approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Pat, second by Betsy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, again, unanimous, license is approved. Action items, request from John McCarthy, the town treasurer, for the transfer of $1,073,173 from the town's capital projects account to the general fund for payment of bonds that are due July 1st, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just a quick note on that, so, are we late then? It says they're due July 1st, which was, whatever, grace period. Okay.
We're never late.
All right, great. Request from John McCarthy, Town Treasurer, for the transfer of $1,066,212 from the town's capital projects account to the general fund for payment of bonds that are due August 1st.
So
And a
moved.
motion moved by Paul.
Second.
Second by Betsy. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have a request to make a finding regarding Massimo's Restaurant. Let me just grab it. That the granting of a wine and malt license to the restaurant will not be detrimental to the educational and spiritual activities of schools or churches within 500 feet of the licensed premises. Get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Finding made. Appointing of an alternate member to serve on coterminously with the term of the representative to the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. Do you want to talk on that, Steve? first?
Yes, the Metropolitan Area Planning Council is a really very effective organization that we do a lot of work with regarding smart growth, regarding new trends in traffic development and what have you. There are board members are always welcome to their meetings, and we'll let you know when they occur. I go to many of them, but our planner, Paul Revis, goes to most of their meetings. And I think that he should probably be our alternate member to serve for the town of Wakefield. He's there anyway, and he's probably the best person for the job, and if he doesn't go, I go. But certainly, board members are welcome. In the past, we've named board members, but I know with all your schedules and these are sometimes very long meetings all day, and sometimes you get stuck talking about traffic in the corridor up in Westford, which probably isn't of interest to you guys, so I think Paul Revis might be the man that we.
Okay, while Westford traffic corridor is exciting, I'll refrain from putting my name in the hat.
May I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to appoint Mr. Revis, our town planner, as the alternate member to serve conterminously with the term of the rep to the Metropolitan Area Planning Council?
You may. Do you have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have a request from Sharon Gilly from the Lucius Beebe Memorial Library to accept and expend a gift in the amount of $26,711 from various donors with thanks. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right, moved by Paul, second by Tiz, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have a grant of an easement for sidewalk purposes at 323 Vernon Street. I think there's plenty of material on that in the packet. Have a motion to grant the easement?
Moved.
Second. We accept it.
Right, except, yeah.
Accept the easement.
Accept the
Yeah,
easement,
as I said, it says grant on here, but it's,
We're accepting the
I
grant.
they're granting it to us, so. Motion to accept the easement.
So moved.
Moved by Betsy, second by Tiz, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. I guess we have time for two things. We have an update on the town-owned lot, the landlocked lot in downtown Wakefield. And Steve, you have an update on the
I
cleanup
do.
issue there.
And actually, it's actually very good news, so I'm very happy with that. As you know, the town-owned lot, there were some concerns that there was some soils in there that may need to be mitigated. We hired Weston and Sampson for $6,500 to analyze and do some more borings and to present any findings that we did have to the Mass DEP. I'm very pleased to announce that they have completed their analysis and that, I'll read the conclusion. Results of this analysis indicate that the constituents detected in soil at the site are related to background conditions in the urban fill material and do not require further evaluation via the MCP. Notification to Mass DEP is not required. Furthermore, the results of this analysis do not depend upon an activity and loose limitation. Indeed, restrictions are not required for this site. So this is about as clean as we can get for that. However, I will say that if we develop that site, if something is built on it, much like at the Galvin School, any soil disturbed would have to be removed and would have to be, sent for disposal in a secure location that will cost money then.
Right,
But right
sure.
now, we got out of it for $6,500, so. I'm happy to report that,
Great.
Mr. Falvey.
Indeed.
Yeah, if we ever develop that parcel.
Right,
You're right.
you're right.
And this is the parcel where the garage was supposed to go?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
The very one, yeah.
This is the one there where the purchaser of the lot was gonna assume
Right.
all responsibility
Right.
for those type of things, like removing the soil and cleaning it and all that. It's now our problem.
Now
So,
our problem.
okay, great, thank you. Well, at least that's partly good news, that we don't have to make a filing with the DEP.
Exactly.
Okay. If you can stretch your Albion
can.
Street discussion for 2 full minutes,
I
we can
can
get to our
certainly
hearing.
do that. After at the last selectmen's meeting, the board, I asked the board to have a couple of volunteers, or a number of volunteers, to go with me to check the, I will call it the MLD building at 9-11 Albion Street, that has been basically abandoned by the MLD with their new site down on North Ave. And Selectman Dinoco and Selectman Glynn and myself and DPW Director Rick Stinson actually did a tour of the building. And I think I gave you some pictures that are in your package there as well. It is a very, very interesting site and building, and we have some more due diligence to complete. So we'll be coming back with the proposal probably at the end, after the summer is done. But I think that I'll speak, and Paul and Pat, please jump in. I think there's a lot of potential for the town retaining that parcel, that building. There will be some work that needs to be done. There may be some handicapped accessibility issues that we'll be looking at. There may be some minor abatement that we'll be looking at. But we own that building now. It's the town's building now, so those are our problems at this time anyway. But I think it has a lot of potential for some really good municipal use in that area. And I don't know if Pat and Paul want to jump in, and I think that was our general sense.
I'll start. Normally, if the town weren't in a position to act on an opportunity like this, financially, I wouldn't even entertain it. I think we are in a position to entertain a building in excess like this and not sell it. I don't know that we could fairly condition a developer or someone else coming in to try to reuse this building. It'd be a tough reuse for a business. There are, as Steve mentioned, some challenges. You may be able to find someone to rent it out. I happen to be I manage buildings for a living. You just don't see buildings like this anymore with, all the decorative limestone and brick facade, the arched windows, the high ceilings on the first floor. The upstairs, I think I mentioned last time, the actual working window transoms above is from back in I don't know when this building was built, I would guess somewhere in the 30s or 40s. It's a treasure to have a building like this right downtown, and, I don't know what we have in mind in the way of reuse, but Albion Street seems to more and more be turning into our art district. This would be an ideal location for something to do with the arts and a community, some type of a community center that that the townspeople could use. I'm all for investigating or going down that route. As Steve mentioned, there will be some due diligence. Looking at it, I don't think it's gonna be over the top. The heating system's in working condition, and it's in decent, fairly new. That would be the biggest issue. We'd need to look at the roof, we'd need to look at some accessibility, we'd need to look at making sure that, there's no friable materials that would need to be abated right away, but otherwise, I think somebody could paint, carpet, and move in there with some minor capital improvements, so I'm all for it.
Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. Steve and I discussed this piece of property a long time ago, and we knew that it would potentially become available. As Pat did say, it has a lot of potential on the inside. It is truly a historic piece for the town of Wakefield. It would be a shame to have something like this slip through our hands and somehow possibly get altered, but it is something that of focus, as Pat would say, for the arts. To go into the next phase of enhancing the downtown and promoting Wakefield, arts and culture seems to be a logical choice for a potential use for this property. Again, the logistics of how to create the inside to a usable reuse has to be really looked at and thought out. What other than that can be put in there also would have to be considered, because it can't be just for one location. You may want to potentially rent the top out to some offices, use it so you have some income coming into the property. But it does have a lot of potential, and I think this is something that the town should seriously look into. Thank you.
Steve, do you want to just touch on because I noted the letter has an assertion that the building was bought and paid for by WMGLD, and I understand that's not the case. It's probably worth a little clarity on the subject.
Well, being an old title guy, I went to the Registry of Deeds and remembered how to do it, Tiz. It was pretty good.
That's good.
It's nice to know.
And
Yeah, I forgot.
yeah, I've forgotten, yeah. The owner of this property is the
His
town of
raise.
Wakefield, a municipal corporation. I think that's pretty clear. It's
Right.
owned by the town,
Okay.
period.
So it's just a misconception that it was bought.
Absolutely.
All right, okay.
Would you agree? Yeah.
All right, good job, everybody. You're a minute short of fulfilling your obligation of talking through to the 7:45. But the good news is that my watch says 7:45, so.
Mr.
There's
Chairman,
no-
I'd like to make a motion that we go into a public hearing for Socorro Organic, Inc. to modify its existing all alcohol license and allow an alteration of the premises to accommodate outdoor dining.
Second.
Moved by Betsy, seconded by Pat. Roll call. Phyllis?
Yes.
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 And yes. All right, the public hearing is open. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Attorney Brian McGrail, representing the applicant Sakura Organic, Inc., doing business as Sakura Organic. With me is Mark Zahn from Sakura. I think the board is familiar with Mr. Zahn. As far as our request goes, I couldn't have said it any better than Selectman Sharon. This is a pretty straightforward application that we have. Sakura is the first, I believe, the first business downtown to take advantage of the outdoor seating bylaw that is passed in the town. Mr. Zong was before your board in the not-too-distant past, and I believe he received approval to do so. We also appeared at the Zoning Board of Appeals, and they confirmed for the building department that the permitting is already set up to accommodate the outdoor seating. Mr. Zong has already set up the outdoor seating, so Sakura is operating with the outdoor seating on the sidewalk. It's really being enjoyed by their patrons and a lot of folks from town. The tables are constantly full. We are just trying to allow the serving of alcohol at those tables. There's three things that have to happen for outdoor seating, and it's not just Wakefield, it's common to every city in town, that obviously you need the licensing or permitting through the Board of Selectmen or City Council. You also need zoning relief if it's required. In this case, as I mentioned, we do not need any new relief. We were already set up for it. And the final common prong is that the liquor license, if it exists, needs to be altered or amended to allow the outdoor seating. That is required by the Massachusetts Alcohol Beverage Control Commission. It's an application for an alteration of the premises. And that's why we're before you tonight, to request the alteration to accommodate the outdoor tables, which you've already permitted to allow the service of alcohol. The service staff is tip certified. Mr. Zong is tip certified. Mark is there pretty much all the time. There have been no issues with this license. I think it's a restaurant. It's not a bar. The food is great, and I think it's being enjoyed by a lot of folks from Wakefield. So we're hoping that you could accommodate them and grant our application request.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we agree to modify and approve to modify the existing all-alcohol license and to allow the alteration of the premises to accommodate the outdoor seating.
Second.
All right, moved by second,
Yeah.
moved by Betsy, seconded by Paul. Any discussion on the motion? Oh, yes. So, all right, there's a motion on the floor. Public comment, or anybody want to speak on the matter? No? Okay, so no public comment. There's a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Great.
Congratulations, Mark.
All right, good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we leave the public hearing, close the public hearing. Second?
Moved by Betsy, second by Ann. Phyllis?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. I think we'll pick up on our agenda where we left off, which was at the very end. So,
You're a fine man.
so the next item is town council. Do you have anything? Nothing tonight. Town administrator.
Just one very quick thing, Mr. Chairman. I mentioned at our last meeting that on January 24th, I would be going to the Economic Assistance Coordinating Council with our town planner to have them vote on our application of becoming a regional technology center. And what that allows us to do is to grant, to partake in the economic development incentive program, meaning that we can consider tax increment financing for businesses. We were, I think, 20th on the agenda of 23. But it was a very interesting meeting, and at the end of the day, Wakefield was granted and approved as a regional technology center, which means that we can start working on working with developers and builders and businesses coming in to offer them some tax incentives in the town. I think this is a great step forward for us as we continue to try to grow the tax base, not necessarily on the backs of the residential homeowners. So I really want to thank the town planner for all the work that he did on this. Our assessor, Victor Santaniello, did a lot of work on it as well, and the support of the board.
It's
So
great.
thank you.
Great, good job by you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
I have a couple of issues that I want to bring up tonight. I have received several phone calls. I know we had a great many people who went to a meeting at the ZBA for the cell phone. And it makes me feel bad that people in town are beginning to think that our boards are so arrogant that they can't go and express themselves without being treated like they're doing something wrong. Everybody has a right to express themselves, and I know myself, in years past, I've gone to a couple of board meetings at a couple of other areas, and I received the same kind of treatment. If you don't agree with them, well, then that's too bad. They don't give you any satisfaction, but there's no need for rudeness. And I'm hoping that this will not continue, that, when these discussions take place, that everybody will be acceptable to listen to what's happening. You can vote whatever way you want, but at least be acceptable to it. And it's to the point now where I really feel that some members on these boards are there so long, it's probably time for term limits. That's how many phone calls that I got. There's no need for that. And I want to express that opinion, because I don't like people coming up to me and saying, oh, the boards in town, they don't care anything about the people in Wakefield. We do care about them. So, to me, that's an important issue, okay? Then,
You're right.
Then the other thing that I want to bring up is, we make the rules. One of the rules are, every 2 hours, you move 200 feet. Who follows these rules? They don't follow them. I watch them during the day. If they go 50 feet, it's a miracle. And then they go from the sun into the shade. So what do we do to enforce these rules? If, it's got to be for everybody, not for just certain people. And I think it's time for us to do something about that. Those are my two issues for tonight.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Thank you.
Yes, I'd just like to remind everybody not to forget the food
No,
pantry.
I'm not gonna say a word.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Happy summer.
Happy summer.
Indeed.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a few things, and I'll be brief. I was contacted by a Bryant Street resident concerned over the condition of the light poles, the double poles. Can we do something as a board, Verizon, RCN, Comcast, some sort of leverage that we can put over them? Or stop granting the MGLD the right to put poles in until the poles are taken care of? You drive around, we all can see it. There are double poles everywhere. Some half poles, some even quarter poles still standing there. There has to be something that we can do for the people who live or have that hanging right in front of their homes.
Right.
So if the board wishes to take action or to have Steve make phone calls, I don't know how to address this right now, and I'm putting it onto the ears of the
Yeah.
rest of the selectmen
Well,
as
Steve
to
or
how we
Tom,
address this.
What is, I don't think we have any, well, I guess the interesting leverage that Paul just cited, actually, but is there
I think
a
we do
more?
have leverage when Verizon, who would be the only other one in front of us,
All right.
would be here. And we've used that actually a couple of times in the past. The problem is that, and I think I agree with you, Paul, there's double poles and there's quarter poles and eighth poles, and they're all over town. The problem is that as each carrier, there's no incentive for some of the carriers to move their wires from the pole. So if you have the MLD, they're great about moving theirs, they'll do it right away. And Verizon, RCN, Comcast. MLD cannot move the other people's wires, which is a problem. The other companies have no incentive to come in. There was a bill pending on Beacon Hill that stated that basically there was a time period, if you didn't move, you would be fined. That didn't really go anywhere. I think we should start with our reps again, and I'm happy to do that, Selectman Giannaco, because I'm frustrated as you are. I think the way the bill should read is that if you don't move your wires with a certain period of time, I don't care about the fine. I think we should be able to do it and back charge you. And that way, it'll get solved, because we'll get tied up for years with Verizon or RCN or Comcast on fines. So that is the issue. Paul, you have it right on the head, and I will talk to our reps and senator to see what we can do. And I'll go back with our reps at the other companies as well, but they just don't move that quick.
Steve, aren't we under agreement with Verizon to allow them to use our poles?
Some poles they own, some poles we jointly own, and Verizon, by and large, is not the biggest problem.
But don't they, isn't there an agreement for them to be using our poles?
There is an agreement, yes.
Does the agreement state that we can make them move, or is there a termination at some point on this?
I have never seen anything with Verizon in particular that there is. I will check on that there's
Yeah,
something in the agreement that they have to move within 30 days or whatever.
Or if there's a term on the agreement, there has to be a term. At the end of the term, we just tell them, move, or we're not gonna grant you ability to
Yeah, I
sell
don't know.
your
Well,
product.
I'll check with the MLD on that one.
They
Yeah.
certainly have some revenue coming out of Wakefield,
They
right?
do,
Oh,
they
yes, they
do.
do.
Mr. Chairman?
Betsy?
In response to your points and your questions, and Steve, I've had on my mind for about a couple of weeks to ask when, it won't be Verizon, but when RCN and Comcast are due for their renewal, which I had brokered with them in the past.
One's coming in a year. I think.
And one's coming, that would be, which one first? RCN? RCN must be first, and then I
Yeah.
think I did Comcast, no,
Yeah.
it was RCN, Verizon, then Comcast.
Right.
But regardless, that could be something that could be held over their heads and see how many poles they have in
Yeah,
particular.
they just to make them commit over an 18-month period or a 12-month period to get,
To get them out, or
That's
they
right.
don't
Work with-
get the renewal in
That's right.
town. Yeah.
I agree.
And that's been kind of on my mind, because I despise the double poles. I think they're,
it's,
It is.
Paul?
Sorry. Staying with the topic of light poles, Steve, through you, Mr. Chairman. Steve, what was the schedule for the MGLD on the?
My understanding was August.
And do you know what the number of
I think,
poles?
was it 30-ish? Does that sound right to you?
Well, there's 45 poles in the downtown. How many were they talking about replacing each year?
There's 45 poles? I don't know what you're defining as the downtown.
From Richardson all the way to Zuzu's.
Okay,
There's about 45 poles.
okay. I'll get you that. I don't have it at the top of my head. I'll get it
And
to
the
you.
reason why I'm asking that too, because we wanted to know when
We can put the
get-
banners up.
That we can get the banners up that were donated to the town. They're sitting there and they're not on poles yet.
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Phil has touched on one of the matters about the slush lady movement and enforcement. There's a lot of talk out there about non-movement of that one, and if we're enforcing it on
She
others.
didn't mention the slush lady, she just said
Well,
that.
well, that's true. Well, I will. I will. I'll direct this. That's correct. I'll correct. She did not mention it, but I will. It's amazing how, at the end of the day, she's in the exact same spot she started off in the first. And by our rules, that's not supposed to be allowed. Thank you, Betty.
I'm sorry.
Moving on, so I can get. I want to thank the tree department and Dennis Fazio for an outstanding job on removing a large tree that had fallen into the river the night of the last big storm. One of the abutting neighbors' trees had just fallen in and had blocked the entire tree. They made short work of it. Kudos to the entire tree department and Dennis Fazio for making light work of it. The last item, Mr. Chairman, and I'm not sure how we want to proceed with this, Market Street had a big meeting in Linfield. The chairman of the ZBA was there, I was there, 2 residents were there, of course, town council was there, representing Linfield. But I'm very concerned over what was being talked about at that meeting. The National Development is agreed to look into diverting truck traffic towards Wakefield for deliveries. We can't let that happen. Okay, one of the rules alone, from the way I'm interpreting it, says that they can't divert away from 43 to 42. But Ted Ty said that he would look into doing so. And all the people in that whole area that's what the driving force was.
All right, so when he looks into it, he'll find out that he can't. And just, so you've brought it up, I would say it's kudos to this board and Steve, way back when they came for their sign. They wanted to put that sign
Yes.
by the Sheraton there. And Steve and I went and spoke in favor of that. Did you go? Yeah, you were there, right? We went and spoke in favor of the sign at the zoning board, who was issuing the permit for it, because we had worked out an arrangement with National Development to agree to never divert traffic to exit 42. And we went so far as to add that they have to have that clause and that restriction flowed down into the leases of every tenant there.
That's correct.
Every future property owner. It included all advertising, print, media, print, TV, radio, billboards, highway signage. We even went so far as to tell them that they have to go let the folks who run like Google Maps know that when somebody says, please navigate me to Market Street, if it's a shorter route to go to exit 42, it won't send them there. It will still route them to exit 43.
That's
we
correct.
were all over this, like, you know what.
We were, and it's kudos to
So,
those
so I
involved.
don't know that it will be an issue. I'm glad to hear that what actually happened in that meeting is they said, we'll look into it. And as I said, when they look into it, they'll find out, I believe, or we'll let them know, or remind them of that restriction. I'm sure they're well aware of it. Maybe he forgot about it that night, but that was a pretty big deal regarding that sign. We worked it out with them and their council. I've spoken to their council. I think Steve's talked to some folks from Linfield this week just to make sure they know about it. So
Excellent. Okay.
I'm not yet afraid of it, and I think it's actually, it's a nice opportunity to pat ourselves in the back for having the foresight to
Yes,
make sure something like
absolutely.
this doesn't happen.
Absolutely. The only other thing, we have the Festival Italia coming up, August 22nd and 23rd. This year is going to be something special because we have the addition of the fireworks on the 23rd after the festival. So that starts at 8:30. Fireworks should commence roughly around 9:15, but it's going to make for a very great day, weather permitting. Lots of food. Get your tickets for the night before if you're available. We right now have, I want to say, 14 restaurants going to provide food the night before. So there'll be a wide selection of choices to choose from. Other than that, that's it, sir.
Great.
Thank you.
May I say one thing? Excuse me, Pat.
Sure.
I've got to follow up on something you said because I was ranting and raving about it a couple of meetings ago. It's the restaurants in town that carry a lot of these festivities. All right, and here's again another instance where 14 or 16 restaurants are pitching in, providing foodstuffs, as it were, servers, as well as trying to keep their own places open with additional help and people that have to work extra hours. So I think it's a wonderful thing that they're doing that, and they should be appreciated. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome. The only thing I have is, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, kind of the scale of, tonight we granted an alcohol license for people to serve alcohol out on the sidewalk and, have people dining out on the sidewalk, outdoor dining, which I'm 100% in favor of. However, I mentioned in the meeting about the trees and the scaling of the trees along Main Street. It's not just the trees. If we're going to go down this road of allowing restaurants to serve outside, we have to take a close look at our facilities and public safety, and, we still have foot traffic going down Main Street on both sides. And are the sidewalks wide enough, and are the trees the right size, the landscaping plan, the whole bit we need to look at, and maybe next year, Steve, we can propose some type of capital, either to look at scaling it or actually scaling it. Maybe redoing some landscaping, widening some sidewalks so that we're not just placing tables and chairs haphazardly or allowing the restaurants to haphazardly do it. And to Betsy's point, these vendors, these merchants have lived through some pretty tough times over the past few years. And kudos to Paul for putting on an event to try to boost business downtown. I think it's time, we've looked at a lot of our facilities. I think it's time we look at Main Street and create the facilities we need to increase our economic development downtown and, maybe make it a little easier and more organized so that there's pedestrian traffic ways and snow storage and places to put tables and chairs outside and some properly scaled landscaping.
I have to, I would like to speak on what Pat just spoke on, because there have been several people that walk downtown, and they are concerned that they do not have enough room where the outside restaurants are, to bypass. I mean, a lot of them think there certainly is not enough room. And we do have measurements, right? Don't they have to be so
Yes.
far away from the street and?
For the tables that you.
The outdoor
Yeah,
dining,
tables
the
and
outdoor
everything.
dining
Strict
has,
guidelines, strict
Right.
guidelines.
It has to
And,
follow
They seem to
ADA.
think that that's not happening, but,
Well, that's-
so I just like Pat, I'd like us to be careful so that we don't have to worry about the pedestrians when they're
Yeah.
downtown.
I'm not for a second trying to say that we shouldn't have outdoor dining. I'm the biggest fan of it. I think I'm all for it. I just want to, if we're going to promote it, we should do it the right way and take a look at what we need to do to be able to
Absolutely.
take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there were a lot of safeguards in the outdoor dining bylaw that said that there has to be minimum distances and things like that. There has to, obviously not run afoul of ADA requirements for passage. So I think we'll probably have a lot of that. One of the things I think, just to add to that,
Yeah,
or
but
go with it.
do we have the sidewalk to be able to provide that?
Well, if you don't, then you can't have it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
You can't do it everywhere, only in the places where the sidewalk's
but
wide.
what I'm saying is, let's look at it and
Yeah.
create
Oh, yeah,
it.
no, let's look at it, and while we're at it, let's get rid of all the little sandwich boards all over the place.
Another thing I'd like to say is that
oh,
people
sorry.
do love those outside restaurants.
Yes.
They love
Absolutely.
it. They
I'm not-
think
Yeah, they
it's
do.
great.
They
Yeah.
do.
I'm not talking about placing more restrictions on people. I'm talking about taking the restrictions off, and we're kind of maybe a little bit putting the cart before the horse by allowing people to do it, but I'm in favor of it. I voted in favor of it, and I'm in favor of it. But I think in the long term, we need to just take a closer look at it and provide better facilities.
Great.
Nothing,
Liz?
thank you.
Nothing? Ann?
No, everything's been said.
Nothing? I have just one thing. We were gonna have the Rail to Trail folks here tonight. Did we?
I think we were pushing it off till August.
Yeah, I think they were
For her-
looking,
her
they
schedule,
they were
her
looking
schedule,
to go
yeah.
later. Okay, all right, good. So I'd love to see them here.
Yep.
With that, you all set?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Pat, second by Betsy. Is there a unanimous vote to adjourn?
Yeah.
Thank you.
There is. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your indulgence.